China.
Now, before we get into this, man, let me let y'all know this is some shit I'm finna come at y'all with, because a lot of people in America holler about, oh, communism good, this, all that shit. So I'm finna dive right into it. Welcome to the channel, man. I'm Professor X. Y'all might know me from multiple TikTok accounts. They banned me, so I had to kind of go on my own and do my own thing. But this is for everybody in America that claim they want communism and tariffs don't work. Boy, look, China collapsing ever since Trump tariffs, so let's go ahead and get it.
China is collapsing. Protests are spreading against the banks. People are getting sick of the government's incompetence. And life under the CCP has escalated to such horrible levels that Chinese people are leaving the country in numbers.
坐车、走路、坐飞机， I have gone through a lot of difficulties to come to America.
What do you make of the surge? What kind of context can you give us?
It's tough. It's really hard to put in context because China's huge.
My family doesn't agree me to be a Christian, and also the country is not allow us to be a Christian.
In most of China's major cities, visa offices are swamped as business leaders, students, activists, and families are packing up and leaving China. Between the declining economic situation, the terrible population crisis, and the unending iron rule of the CCP, the country is a mess. Many are now escaping before conditions worsen, seeking asylum in the West.
And that's my thing. Y'all folk claim this what y'all want, but if you look at it in depth, bro, if America's so bad, why is these people vacating their country to come here? And this is all based around that one world currency they was trying to do in the United States, and everybody think it's a good idea, but y'all gonna see, man.
It's not that easy. With the CCP's power growing, China has become a surveillance state, where more often than not, it feels like you're being watched 24/7, even when you're trying to escape. This has added to the civil unrest and has created quite the situation for us to unpack. So let's get started on it. So, first off, what's all this about collapse coming China's way? Well, for the first time in a long time, China is simultaneously under pressure from various directions. Its many problems are threatening to tear the country apart. On one hand, we have the population issue that's gripping Beijing. Birth rates are falling in China as families choose to have fewer children, primarily due to the high cost of living and tough job prospects. The shift is a red flag because it means fewer young people are entering the workforce, which, as you can imagine, directly impacts the economy. With fewer workers, it's harder to keep things running smoothly. At the same time, the number of elderly people needing care keeps growing, adding pressure to the healthcare system and pension plans. You see, an aging population is a significant challenge for China. As more seniors need medical care and support, the government faces increasing costs. Fewer young people mean fewer tax contributions, which makes it harder to fund essential services. The situation is putting China in a tough spot, especially as many of its young people are leaving the country in search of better opportunities. With both low birth rates and high immigration, maintaining a strong workforce becomes a serious challenge. Its absence creates a problem for China's economy, which on its own is already having quite the difficult time. China, once praised for its booming industrial growth and strong exports, now finds itself battling with massive debt. The country's debt across the government, businesses, and local authorities has reached around 300% of its GDP, amounting to nearly $40 trillion. On top of this, the property market, once a key economic driver, has lost about $2 trillion in value between 2021 and 2023.
And see, you see all these videos of people telling you move to China. I'm telling you, bro, you got to do your research before you do all this shit. Communism ain't never work. It never will work. It's not good. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for socialism. So all the people talking about move to China, and I've been telling people, and they were looking at me like I'm crazy, like, boy, China's going broke because of the communism. And this just the tip of the iceberg. I don't watch this, so we're going to get deeper into it. Now, this just the debt from the tariffs that Trump raised. So if tariffs don't work, why the hell is it hitting China this hard? Tariffs work. It's just, boy, y'all in America need to do your research before you get to blabbing about Elon and all these folk being terrorists. At the end of the day, y'all folk mad at people that's trying to help y'all, but we're going to keep moving.
Enormous debt is stretching financial institutions thin and eroding public trust in the economy. That's why the CCP has to turn to the one thing it knows best: lying to its population and the world. Just recently, China stopped publishing its economic data. The CCP has also doubled down on censorship in the country. People's posts about economic hardship and job losses are now being censored by officials.
And that's what we getting at in America. On TikTok and all that, they was trying to use media to suppress what was really going on in the country because they didn't want people to realize how bad it was. And that's why you don't hear nothing about China in the news, because them folk really being suppressed and controlled. And if they get out of line, these folks, I'm talking about they can't eat, they can't do nothing. Meanwhile, in America, they striving for communism like communism is kumbaya. And a lot of this stuff that they explaining, bro, is the same thing that the government trying to do to the American citizens.
The country, China has continued to downvote any video that exposes the CCP's lies. That's why, once again, we need your help. If you can hit that like and subscribe button down below, it really does help us fight these CCP bots.
I'm going to keep on pushing this. So I made this video to help them put that out there because people need to know the truth. People need to know what's going on in the world. And this is similar stuff that they doing to you in America to try to get you to believe the bullshit and the propaganda they pushing. So I'm making this video to help this get out there because y'all folk need to know the truth about what communism is, how these folk running these other countries, and it ain't gonna happen in America because it'll be civil unrest, and I'm one of them one, boy, you'll fuck around and find that.
Fortunately for the CCP, economic signs are not looking good. These signs of economic instability are pointing to a collapse in China's future. The country's economy is slowing down, and its financial situation is fragile, resembling a ticking time bomb. But how did things get this way? Over the past few years, China's GDP growth has dropped significantly. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, reports that growth peaked at 5.3% in 2023, far lower than the double-digit growth rates seen in earlier decades. This slowdown, along with the rising youth unemployment, which reached as high as 21.3% in some urban areas, has shaken up people's confidence in the country's future. The pressure on China is not just domestic either, it's international. The new trade war in 2025, reignited by Trump, is creating fresh challenges for China.
See what I'm saying?
The U.S.
This man delivered on everything he said he was going to deliver on. Everybody hollering about tariffs don't work. This man raised the tariff on China and them folks suffering. Like the current administration, Democrats been selling us to China for years. So China been booming. They've been having a majority of their businesses in China raising tariffs on America so they can produce their products in their country with no cost, and it cost Americans more money to ship from China to there. So Trump hit them with tariffs, forcing them to put their businesses in America. So if you put it in America and you buy American, you won't have to worry about tariffs. So while y'all folks out here pushing these dumbass protests about tariffs don't work, these people auditing the government, y'all mad at them auditing the government when this man making America one of the most strongest economies again by putting tariffs on China. And by putting tariffs on China, he's collapsing their whole economy, which means in order for them to make any money, they got to build their companies in America. And if you build it in America, that's more American jobs, that's more money for America, and they can avoid the tariffs. So Trump's idea of tariffs was one of the best things happening. So you know they ain't gonna push this out here, but I'm gonna make it anyway.
Has imposed higher tariffs on Chinese goods, which are squeezing China's export-driven economy. In response, China has retaliated with its own tariffs, targeting U.S. agriculture and tech products. This back and forth is disrupting global supply chains and increasing costs for businesses in both countries. For China, the added pressure comes at a time when its economy is already grappling with high debt and slowing growth, making the...
He hit them folk with tariffs where it's going to hurt them the most at a time where their economy collapsing. So we can go back and forth with the tariffs, but they'll suffer more because ain't nobody else fucking with China. The United States was the biggest supporter of China, and by Trump pulling this, he collapsing them folk, man. And look, all they people trying to move here. So if communism was that good, man, you think them folks would be running over here? Nah, come on, it get bigger though.
Situation even more precarious. And as if these economic issues weren't enough to rattle people, the CCP seems to be doing everything it can to make China inhospitable. One of those nuisances is how China has been turned into a surveillance state, further creating social unrest. Imagine walking through Beijing or Shanghai. where nearly every street corner is watched by high-tech cameras that not only capture your image, but also run you against a huge database every time you pass by. If you break a minor rule,
over every stoplight now, every corner you turn, they trying to have CCTV everywhere. But they telling you, oh, this is for your protection. This is for your safety. This ain't none of this shit they doing for our protection or our safety. This is for them folk to control you and track you and monitor what you're doing and try to hold you up against the same system they doing over here. Only difference is America, it won't work because you will have unrest and you will have a civil war before that happen. But pay attention to what they doing in China, then look at what's going on in America. These people the last administration was trying to push that shit on you and slowly put it on you. Like, they know they can't just do it. So they got to introduce it to you and make you accept it. And the more and more they put up and the more and more you don't say nothing, they can make it in the law, because if you're not fighting against it and you agreeing to it, they can do it. That's why they slowly introducing it, slowly doing it, putting it out there like it's a benefit to us, when at the end of the day, this shit is a benefit for them.
speeding or running a red light, a camera can spot you immediately and trigger a fine. And it doesn't stop on the streets either. Airports, train stations, and bus terminals are filled with these cameras too. At Nanyang Tianjin Airport, for example, some passengers can skip the check-in process by simply scanning their faces. And businesses like Alibaba let you pay with just your face. This setup makes daily life very convenient, but it also means that privacy is becoming rare. It's a bit scary to think that every move you make might be tracked. I know what some of you are thinking. Well, every modern country, including the US and the UK, have heavy surveillance too. Well, you're both right and wrong. While the US and the UK have cameras, nothing compares to China's vast, all-seeing network. With 540 to 626 million CCTV cameras, one for every 2.3 people, China has the highest surveillance density in the world. By comparison, the US has 85 to 100 million cameras.
It won't work in America because it's violation of privacy. See, we got a constitution over here. We're a constitutional republic, which means it's not a communism. See, China is communism. So they can do all this shit and ain't nothing no folk can do because they run under a communist dictator regime. It's all socialist and communist, so they forced to do this. But this should be a shocking example to Americans of what will come to you if you sit here and take everything for granted. If you was to let them people do what they planned on doing and they introduce it in so many bills as if they doing something good, and behind these bills that they so-called got you thinking for you is secret shit, now pay attention.
Every 4.6 people, mostly operated by private businesses. The UK has 5.2 million cameras.
America's cameras mostly owned by private business because the government can't go that far as what China doing because it'll be violation of privacy. It goes against the Constitution and your amendments.
One for every 13 people, making it Europe's most surveilled country. And yet, even London, with one camera per 14 people, can't match China's reach. Every action is recorded, analyzed, and stored. It makes you wonder how much freedom you have when every step you take is being watched. The CCP has put together powerful systems in areas like Xinjiang to gather data from people's faces and their behavior. The goal is to know everything about everyone.
In Xinjiang, in northwestern China, 13 million Turkic Muslims are already enduring extraordinary suppression at the hands of the Chinese government. Authorities there are building a surveillance state to be able to track their every move.
Every 200 meters would have a police checkpoint. If you're Uyghur, they stop you. They would just say, "Where's your ID? I want to check your ID." They would punch in the ID number and then they would see everything about you.
One tool at the heart of Xinjiang's surveillance system is the IJOP, or the Integrated Joint Operations Platform. The IJOP has an app that's used by police and government officials to track extraordinary amounts of personal information about individuals, ranging from their religious habits to their blood type.
Human Rights Watch got a hold of a copy of the app and used a technique called reverse engineering to look at the source code, basically the design of the app. This is what it looks like when an officer pulls up an individual's profile. They enter the person's name, ID number, ethnicity, then the officer takes a photo of the person's ID card to see if that matches the person's face. As you scroll, you see more information is being collected from the person, including their address, how tall they are, their blood type, their educational level,
Bro,
their
your
occupation,
blood type, your
their political
educational level, and your political views, so they can control everything you doing. And I'm doing this reaction video. This is my first time really going over this video. So this is fresh. I'm doing this. I'm watching this with you. This is my first time seeing it. But come on, man. That right there, crazy. They want to know your religious views and everything you're doing so they can cut you off.
Information about their car.
The list goes on. The information from the app feeds into a central system and combines with information from other surveillance systems, including CCTV cameras that rely on facial recognition software, and even Wi-Fi sniffers that are used as people walk through checkpoints to pull information off their phones.
This system can mark someone as suspicious based on little more than how they move or act. This means that some people are targeted more than others, and that can lead to even more intense surveillance or even detention. How much freedom can a person really have in the face of such systems? Then there's Skynet, a system that sounds like it came out of a science fiction movie. This system scans the entire population in under a second with 99.8% accuracy, ensuring almost no movement goes unnoticed. This makes it possible for the government and law enforcement to keep an eye on everyone all the time. Another project, called the Sharp Eyes program, extends this intense surveillance level even into rural areas. Started in 2018, this program aims to install cameras in every village in China. So whether you're in a big city or a small town, the government's watchful eye is never far away. The web of surveillance is not just about catching criminals or keeping the public safe, as the government might say. Many citizens are starting to
catching criminals and keeping you safe. That shit is not about catching criminals and keeping you safe. It's about controlling what you do, what you eat, how you spend your money. You get wrong, they gonna freeze your account. Hell, you even get too much is wrong, they'll make you disappear and limit where you can go. I'm telling you, bro. And they like to say it's for criminals and keeping you safe. It's far from that. That's just shit they gotta use to keep you blind and brainwashed. But if you're a thinker like me, you know what time it is.
like they have no room for privacy anymore. It's like living in a fishbowl where every action is recorded and no one can hide. As a result, more and more people are considering leaving China. They want to live in places where they are not under constant surveillance. This desire for freedom and privacy is fueling an exodus of citizens. They are asking,
socialism is so good. Why these people trying to come to America? See, we need to go get the people in these countries that want to be free, that want to exercise their right to be free, and we need to exchange them with all these liberals and all these people in America who hate America, anti-America, America so racist. Won't y'all go to China? That's what y'all looking for. If you want communism, go to China. And I think we should have a swap. We should swap the good citizens that want to be here in America, that want to be in this freedom, and send over our rejects that don't want to be a part of America. And I know they ain't gonna let this video go too far because it's the truth, it's facts. And that's what I'm all about when I make videos. This is me by myself. No fancy equipment, no none. I'm just here to spread facts and help people be aware of what's really going on in this country and what agenda they really trying to push. Because the Democrats was trying to adopt this Chinese agenda because it's more control.
themselves. Is this the kind of life I want to live? When every moment is monitored, it takes away the simple pleasure of just being a regular person. Taking an even closer look at the CCP's control of its people reveals a system that analyzes every action, turning daily life into a high-stakes test of loyalty. The system is the social credit system.
The same system that the Democrats tried to implement to you. The Democrats tried to implement the social credit system. And it's all they doing is, like they say, testing your fucking loyalty. Everybody who loyal to them, they can silence you, they can keep you quiet, but if you loyal to them, they gonna give you freedom to do more than the person who ain't loyal to them. So somebody like me, I have a poor social credit score, which means they'll limit my travel, they'll limit where I can go, they'll limit what I can get, I ain't gonna be able to eat. They literally have your ass out here starving until you conform. That social credit score was the fucking mark of the beast. I'm telling you. And like I say, this is my first time watching this with y'all. I'm going through it with y'all, but I know what time it is. I'm already seeing where they going with this.
built, supposedly, to reward loyalty and punish dissent. It does this by tracking every action of its citizens and rewarding those who obey with points, while punishing those who disagree with the system by deducting
like the
points.
Democrats, I'm telling you, bro, this shit is lining up with everything them folk were doing. They punish you if you don't follow their agendas. Basically, you ain't gonna have nothing to say. Everything they say right. And most people gonna go along with it because they want to be able to eat. They want to be able to drink. See, they control the stuff that you need. They want to control the shit that you need, so they can kind of break you in a way, because you need to drink, you need to eat, and if they control all that shit, they can break the buck, man. See?
In this system, people with high scores get more freedom, while those with low scores face severe limits. For example, if you break a minor rule or express a thought that isn't approved, your score drops. Suddenly, you might be denied access to financial services like loans and even basic necessities.
Anytime you went against it, they blocked you. They tried to have it to where if you didn't wear a mask, you couldn't go here, you couldn't eat here, you couldn't see your family. Bro, they used COVID to test how it will work in a society of social credit scoring. COVID was just a test to see how much they can push and see if it'll work amongst American people.
What you might not realize is that your score also sets the limits on how far you can travel. When citizens have low scores, they can be blocked from taking flights or riding high-speed trains. This means that if you make a mistake as silly as jaywalking or overspending your money,
bro, if
you could end up stuck at home while others move freely.
Your own money you made, you overspend. These folk punish you and limited you to traveling just basically around your basic area. And y'all out here listening to these videos of people talking about how much China is better than America. Hey, boy, facts over feelings over here.
Isn't it strange that something as simple as your behavior could decide if you can travel or not? In a way, that's exactly how the CCP keeps a portion of its citizens from leaving the country.
So it makes
Every
sense.
penalty becomes a barrier that holds you back from exploring
key point. So it makes sense. They know a lot of people will leave China. Xi Jinping or whatever the hell your name is, you're a scumbag to me. But he know people will leave. So if he got this system that says, oh, this person ain't obeying, I'm going to limit their travel. So basically, you can force people who don't even want to be there to stay because of the communists and the dictatorship. You force people to stay there just because they ain't acting right. And the ones who obeying ain't going to want to leave. And the ones who want to leave, you're not allowing them to leave because they disobeying the system. I'm telling you, this the shit they trying to pull in America. And if the Democrats would have got another turn, them folk would have tried to get this like this. And in America, you're going to push towards civil war. See, in China, they ain't got guns. They took away their guns. They did all that. And them folk can't fight back. America can't do it because we still got guns.
Opportunities beyond your hometown. The system also has a big effect on jobs. Many employers, especially those in state-run companies, check your social credit score before hiring you. If your score is low, you might be seen as unreliable or untrustworthy. This can shut the door to job opportunities and force you into a life of hardship. Education is hit in the same way. Schools and universities might check your score before accepting you. A low score can mean you miss out on a chance to study and build a future. This leaves many wondering, how can they succeed when every step is controlled by one system? Would you want?
You can't get a job. You can't even go to school, bro. Like, you can't thrive like that. Like, this is all like control, bro. This is not how God meant people to live. We weren't put here to be slaves to no system, but this is what a lot of Americans is fighting for in our own country, when you can just go be over there, send the people over there who want to be here and be free and do good and be successful and get their life together and think for themselves, bro. This shit crazy.
To risk your education because of a single misstep?
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now, the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think
See?
being ranked is a
You're
good
gonna
thing. A
always
society
have
has
it.
to have
And
rules.
he probably don't even feel like that. He have to say that. Because if he say anything about what he feel, his social credit score gonna be damaged. I'm telling you, this man really don't like this. But he know if he says the wrong thing, he's gonna be punished. And this is how you breed mind control. This is pure mind control. This man can't speak his mind because speaking his mind will be detrimental to his future, his health, and possibly his life.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
Why you ain't rebuilding a moral society? How you rebuilding a moral society when you are forcing people to do things they don't want to do? It's not a moral society when people can't speak their mind. They either think that way or they don't. It's nothing with morals. These people are sick in their head, man. This man said a moral society. You ain't creating a moral society. You creating robots. You creating people who just obeying because they gonna have to, or they won't eat, they won't sleep, they can't go to work, they can't make money, they ain't gonna be able to live. These folks just gonna be out there fucked up. So you ain't creating a moral society. You creating a monster is what you doing, and they're gonna be so much longer. This is why these people going crazy.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members.
This man, this
After being
is how
sued
you
for
keep corruption going. This man tried to expose corruption and got blacklisted from traveling. So now he's stuck. He pretty much stuck, can't go nowhere. Probably can't eat, can't do nothing. That's crazy as hell.
By the
That's
subject of a
crazy.
story he'd written, he was blacklisted. He only realized when he
Banned
tried
from
to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
One striking example of the system's harshness is the case of Deng Yuan, a journalist who wrote articles that questioned the CCP. Overnight, his bank accounts were frozen as punishment for his opinions. This punishment not only ruined his finances, but also sent a clear message. Speaking out can lead to severe consequences. This system of rewards and punishments creates an environment of fear. People quickly learn that a small mistake or a different opinion can have big consequences. The fear of punishment makes many citizens stay silent, even when they have valid questions or concerns. The more people see their friends and neighbors being punished for minor mistakes, the more they realize that the system is about more than just order.
It's life. That's not life, bro. You really out here controlling people for thinking for themselves. That's not life, man. And you got to be a real sick monster to even believe anything you doing is good. Like, bro, these folks sick. This man's sick. This is a sick individual, bro.
Out control. Increasingly, many Chinese citizens are deciding that they can't live under such strict rules. They are choosing to leave the country in search of a place where they can express themselves without fear or punishment. The harsh systems placed by the CCP shape everyday life and mirror a long-standing history of silencing dissent. And this harsh approach is pushing more citizens to leave the country. When you look at the fate of those who speak up, you can see a clear pattern of repression that makes you wonder, how can a society grow when it punishes anyone who dares to challenge authority? Take Xu Changran, for example. He was a university professor who wrote an essay sharply criticizing the Chinese Communist Party. Within days of publishing his thoughts, he was arrested. Imagine the frightening effect on anyone who wants to share their opinions. If even a respected academic
who got arrested about accusing him of ruling tyrannically according to his friend. Look at that shit, bro. Look at that shit, man.
can be punished so quickly, how safe do you feel speaking out? Then there's Ilham Tohti, an advocate for Uyghur rights. Instead of opening a space for debate or reform, the government sentenced him to life in prison on charges of separatism. This basically means he was charged for advocating for the separation of Uyghurs from China to become an autonomous state. His harsh punishment wasn't just about silencing.
And y'all really, come on, man, that make my head itch. This man got life in prison for wanting to separate, and y'all folks in America really rooting for this shit. Y'all folks stupid, man.
Voice. It was a clear warning to all who might support minority rights or question government policies. Doesn't it seem extreme to strip someone of their freedom simply for defending what they believe is right? Next is Ren Jiecheng, a prominent property tycoon known for his outspoken nature. In March of 2020, Ren wrote an essay criticizing President Xi Jinping's handling of the coronavirus pandemic, even calling him a naked clown who insisted on acting like an emperor. His words led to an expulsion from the Communist Party and an 18-year prison sentence for inciting the overthrow of state power.
Jinping, you a sucker, man. If you can hear me, bro, you a real sucker. I don't even plan to come to China. I don't even like China to begin with. But you a real sucker, bro. And the only reason you doing this kind of stuff to your own people, because you know you ain't got the balls to stand up to no real person. That's why when Trump come to your country, you sit down like a clown you is, bro. That man got 18 years for exposing these folks. That's crazy.
These cases show that silencing dissent isn't just about punishing a few outspoken individuals. It's a systematic effort by the CCP to control all conversation. This climate of fear has a ripple effect that goes far beyond individual cases.
The Democrats was trying to use China's tactic on the American people. And please, I bet you in the comments, everybody say the same thing I am. This is the same thing that the Democrats was trying to push when they was in office. That's why they wanted Trump out of there, so they can continue with the plan they had, bro. That's why they was selling everything to China. Fear.
As a result, many talented and driven Chinese citizens are choosing to leave. Reports show that the number of people leaving the country is increasing compared to previous years. In an effort to control the number of people leaving and to prevent brain drain, the Chinese Communist Party has long enforced strict rules on travel. In China, travel is not considered a basic right. It's seen as a privilege that the government can grant or take away at any moment. Many citizens spend months planning trips. They save money, they gather documents, and they
come and go, bro. That's not even morally right. You talking about upholding morals. How you gonna control and tell somebody where they can go and where they can and can't go? This shit's sick, man.
take extra steps to meet all travel requirements, only to find out that they are not given permission to leave the country. Unlike in most other countries where one can simply book a ticket and travel abroad, in China, a special exit visa is needed. This means that the government holds all the power to decide who gets to see the world and who must remain confined within the nation's borders. Many Chinese citizens, especially those from minority groups such as the Uyghurs, Tibetans, and political dissidents, face even tougher restrictions. Their passport applications are often denied or revoked without any notice. In some cases, families have been separated because one member's travel permissions were suddenly canceled.
These strict China separate whole families, bruh.
Travel rules have also contributed to a growing number of Chinese citizens choosing to flee the country. Many people are leaving because they feel that they are not free to explore new opportunities abroad. When travel is tightly controlled, citizens cannot work, study, or join family members living in other nations. The inability to travel freely makes life feel limiting and oppressive. As a result, those who desire a better life often decide that leaving China, despite the challenges and risks involved, is their only option. They seek the freedom to travel, learn, and live in a society where their rights are respected. High-profile cases in and around China show just how far these travel restrictions go. Many human rights lawyers and activists are put on no-fly lists, meaning they are barred from leaving the country simply because of their work. There are stories, like that of a woman who tried to leave for Canada, only to be stopped at the airport without any clear explanation. Reports from outlets like The Guardian describe similar cases, where critics and activists are denied boarding on flights. When even those who speak out against the government face such severe measures, one has to ask, what hope is there for the the average person who simply wants a better life. These travel restrictions are not just about stopping people from leaving. They are a tool to maintain control over the population. By deciding who can and cannot leave, the government can keep potential critics isolated and under constant watch. This tactic sends a strong message. If you challenge the government or express your own opinions, you might lose the freedom to travel. These travel restrictions create a climate where many of China's most talented and independent citizens feel trapped. When you can't travel, you miss out on opportunities to learn, share ideas, and even join family members abroad. Shifting focus to another key region, we have Hong Kong, which has become part and parcel of the problems building up to China's imminent collapse. This city is a special administrative region, which means it has its own set of rules and a unique level of self-governance separate from the mainland of China's system. Well, at least it used to. In 1997, when Hong Kong was handed over to China, the one country, two systems principle was introduced. This principle promised that while Hong Kong would be a part of one country, it could keep its own laws, business practices, and free speech traditions. The idea was to allow Hong Kong to maintain a vibrant and independent spirit, even as it joined a larger nation. Over time, however, many of these promises have slipped away, leaving residents to wonder if the city can still serve as a safe harbor for creativity and open debate. In 2020, the CCP introduced the sweeping national security law that criminalizes dissent with vague charges like secession, which basically means breaking away from Chinese control, terrorism, and working together with foreign forces. When this law was introduced, it was met with protests from lawyers, but you can guess how Beijing reacted.
And y'all make sure y'all subscribe to Basic Business, man. I appreciate them for this video. Yeah.
不断健全完善中国特色社会决定草案的说明，切实防范、制止和惩治发生在香港特别行政区内的任何分裂国家、颠覆国家政权、组织实施恐怖活动等严重危害国家安全的行为，以及外国和境外势力干预香港特别行政区事务的活动。
The work in Hong Kong is over because of the implementation of the National Security Ordinance.
With this law in place, even peaceful protests and casual criticism can be seen.
Freedom is a right, it ain't a privilege, man. So watching this documentary so far, man, it's making me feel a little bit for the people there that don't want to be under that. These people really can't even speak out for themselves. And here it is in America, we got every right and privilege to, man. Think about that.
As crimes. Even high-profile figures, such as media tycoon Jimmy Lai, face severe penalties that could include life imprisonment for the crime of seeking freedom. As a result, the climate of fear in Hong Kong has intensified. Protesters who once symbolized hope and resistance are now met with swift crackdowns. Arrests have become common, and the city's reputation as a bastion of free expression is fading. This heavy-handed approach has left many wondering if Hong Kong will ever be the vibrant, free city that it once was. The loss of autonomy has everyday consequences for the people of Hong Kong. Thousands of citizens, once proud of their democratic spirit, now feel unsafe expressing their thoughts or participating in public life. This fear has forced many to seek asylum abroad in countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, and Taiwan. They have to leave the only home they've ever known because their voices are silenced by oppressive laws. That's the harsh reality for many in Hong Kong today, and an eerie prophecy for Beijing. The mass exodus from Hong Kong is evident in the numbers. Official statistics reveal a population drop of around 1.2% in just 1 year, marking a troubling decline in the spirit of freedom. As more citizens choose to leave, Hong Kong is not only losing its talented professionals and skilled workers, but also the unique cultural diversity that once made it a beacon of free expression. Each departure chips away at the city's identity, weakening its reputation as a place where people can share ideas openly and pursue dreams without fear. The loss of these bright minds creates a void that money and resources cannot fill, leading to a shutdown in innovation and creativity. Local businesses suffer as the flow of fresh energy drops, and the city struggles to attract new investments. The trend raises a hard question. How can Hong Kong continue to thrive when its hope for a free future is evaporating? Hong Kong's fading spark sets the stage in Beijing, as more and more Chinese citizens are leaving their homeland. Many wonder if this mass exodus signals the beginning of China's collapse amidst its many problems. Recent data shows a significant increase in visa applications and approvals to countries like the United States, Canada, Australia, and Taiwan. One reason for this exodus is the promise of better economic opportunities. The US and Canada have diverse economies with robust job markets and strong educational systems. Australia offers a high quality of life, while Taiwan is known for its welcoming environment and respect for personal freedoms. Many Chinese citizens feel that their home country no longer provides the opportunities or freedoms that they once enjoyed. China's strict laws, including the travel rules and limits on free speech, make everyday life very tough, pushing many to leave and search for a better, freer future. As we mentioned earlier, many citizens in China increasingly feel that their government's tight grip on free expression, increased surveillance, and censorship makes it hard to live without fear. Recent studies show that over 70% of people in some urban areas believe political controls are too strict, and nearly 50% think these restrictions will limit their personal and professional growth. This oppressive atmosphere has especially hit intellectuals and business professionals. Many of these individuals thrive on open discussion and innovation. As freedoms shrink, they are forced to look elsewhere for opportunities where they can use their skills and ideas. This trend contributes to what experts call a brain drain. Some estimates suggest that up to 10% of China's top talent has left the country in the past decade.
Honestly,
Isn't it alarming to think
quite
that a nation could
alarming
lose a
at all.
significant
We need
part of its
people
human
going through
capital?
bullshit
The journey of these
going
citizens isn't without.
It's not alarming. It's like kind of like I don't blame y'all. Long as y'all come to America with the idea of following the rules we got here, respecting the country, loving it, because, man, this is what communism look like. And like I say, the rest of y'all still going to be brainwashed to it, but I'm trying to spread awareness of what's going on in the world. And if you look at this, it's the same thing the Democrats tried to push and the rhino Republicans that we got at hand.
Challenges. Many who leave China soon find that starting life in a new country comes with many unexpected difficulties. Once they leave their home country, they often face cultural barriers in their new homes. Learning a new language, adjusting to different social norms, and getting used to unfamiliar traditions can feel overwhelming. In fact, surveys reveal that nearly 60% of new immigrants struggle with language barriers, and more than 40% have a hard time fitting into a new cultural environment. Even simple tasks, such as ordering food or shopping for clothes, can become confusing when you are not familiar with local customs. For those who take the brave step of leaving China, a new set of challenges arises after crossing the border. Building a new life in another country is not an easy task. Countries that seem like safe havens also have their own pressures. Many of these nations face political tensions and tighter border controls, which make it harder for immigrants to secure asylum or settle down peacefully. On top of that, even if a country offers refuge, it may already be struggling with its own issues and may not be ready to welcome a large number of newcomers at once. And Chinese immigrants often deal with government scrutiny even after they leave their home country. Some still face watchful eyes because of their past affiliations or political views. Despite these hurdles, many find that their skills and their work ethic, honed in one of the world's fastest growing economies, quickly proves valuable in sectors like technology, academics, and business. In places like Silicon Valley, Chinese professionals now make up to nearly 15% of the tech workforce, contributing significantly to innovation and progress. Nearly 20% of highly educated Chinese immigrants end up in jobs that don't match their skills. Then, some activists and dissidents flee to places like Taiwan, carrying both the fear of persecution and hope for a future where free speech is respected. So perhaps it's time to consider what would happen if China's problems keep getting worse. More specifically, what does China's collapse mean to the rest of the world? Well, as the world's second largest economy, China is very important in international trade and finance. A big economic downturn in internal Chinese markets could shake up global supply chains and change how everyday items, from electronics to clothing and household goods, are made and delivered.
So I don't think it'll impact them, but not us. That's just my opinion.
Financial experts say that a collapse could cause market ups and downs, with risk premiums increasing by as much as 20%. When a key piece of the world's economy falls apart, the effects spread quickly, affecting trade flows and investment decisions everywhere. With global supply chains being closely connected to China's massive manufacturing sector, even a short break in production can cause production costs to rise by 10 to 15% worldwide. I mean, think about it. If a delay in making products makes items more expensive in stores, or if products that were once easy to find suddenly become hard to get, everyday life for consumers and businesses is affected. Because the world economy is so tightly linked, a problem in one country quickly leads to bigger economic issues for everyone. Any weakness in China's production system sends shockwaves that affect everything from small neighborhood shops to large multinational corporations. The chance of a complete collapse in China brings even more uncertainty to the global financial system. Banks, investment funds, and other financial institutions might face a sudden increase in default risks and unexpected changes in the value of their assets. One of the major risks is China's real estate market, which has become a significant part of China's overall debt. When the property market shows sign of stress, it can lead to financial losses that affect both local and international investors. As markets adjust to these changes, investors may lose confidence, making it harder for companies to access the credit they need to grow. This financial instability can then spread to other parts of the global economy, potentially taking years to fully repair. As the possibility of a collapse in China grows, experts warn that we might also see long-term changes in the balance of power in international trade. For decades, China has been a manufacturing leader, and its role in global trade has been crucial. If China's economy fails, other growing economies might step in as the new manufacturing centers. The shift could change the world's political and economic scenes. New leaders in international trade might emerge, bringing fresh opportunities for innovation and cooperation. However, this transition period would also be marked by uncertainty. Investors and policymakers around the world would have to adapt to a new reality where old trade patterns no longer apply, and the global economic system might be forced to find a new balance. At the center of these economic problems are the everyday lives of millions of Chinese citizens who must rethink their futures. When jobs become scarce and public services begin to fail, families are hit hard. The personal cost of economic problems is enormous, often leading to social unrest and political instability. Many citizens, especially young people and skilled workers, see leaving the country as their only chance for a better life. As the rate of Chinese economic growth drops, and as problems in the property and manufacturing sectors worsen, the nation's economic base crumbles. These local market issues are not isolated. They have a domino effect on global supply chains and international trade. When one of the world's economic powerhouses starts to collapse, the effects ripple through every corner of the financial world. Businesses face the fear of rising costs, and consumers worry about paying more for everyday items. China's looming collapse carries global consequences that include disrupting trade, raising production costs, and fueling economic stress. As Chinese citizens flee, the country's talent pool shrinks, weakening industries and shaking financial markets. Investors and policymakers worldwide must brace for a shift where old trade systems no longer function, forcing businesses to adapt to new economic realities. The world watches anxiously as China's markets weaken, debt rises, and instability grows. With each passing day, the likelihood of a collapse increases, threatening to reshape global power structures. YouTube just dropped a mind-boggling announcement. It is paying creators $64 million per day. Why? Well, because YouTube doesn't have
I appreciate y'all for standing by here with me with that. So
enough creators.
Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Do y'all see similarities in the patterns with America or whatnot? Because like I say, man, this remind me of what the Democrats pushing. So I'm just trying to get this information out there, push it forward. I appreciate the business people for supplying this. And look, while y'all out there talking about move to China, y'all see what China really about. So, hey, once again, Professor X, 49 State Precision Videos. This is one of many to come, so y'all tell me what y'all think, man. This some crazy shit. Imagine living in a place where the way you think going against the grain, it'll put it the way you can't eat, you can't shop, you can't travel, you can't leave. Ain't nothing about that freedom. Then look back at COVID, look back at the past administration and what they were trying to do, and you tell me if these people were trying to pull that shit. Communism ain't what you think it is. And like I say, I'm just a basic everyday person. I ain't got no $1 million team. I don't make money out of this. I just take certain things and I like to spread the truth and help it get out there. So I'm going to help them push this. Y'all do the same. Until next time, I'm catching.